got some free content in terms of learning going into our session just now. Sorry. Okay, so ignoring the awkward period of me fucking that up, now that we're an hour and a half late, what are you here for, dude?
I've been like stuck around 4.4, 4.5k now for like a month.
Okay.
And mostly playing mid and safe lane.
Say that again. What was your MMR?
Like 4.5, 4.4 is where I've been back and forth.
And you've been playing only safe lane?
Safe lane and some mid.
Okay. So I'm sorry. I'm actually phased out by my own incompetence here. Okay. So why are you here for the coaching session? If that, what do you feel like you're stuck with?
What do you mean, like my issue in the game?
Yeah, like why you said you've been stuck there for like however long. Like why do you feel like you're stuck?
I don't know. I mean, obviously just not winning, and I'm like not too sure.
Okay.
I don't usually feed, but it seems like I'll have games that seem pretty winnable and throw once and it's just over.
Okay.
Like,
so some people seem to know what they think is going wrong, and some people don't, and that's absolutely fine. So, do you have like when I said like I obviously assume you have replay available or replay ready for me to look at. Is there anything about this replay in particular that stands out to you, or do you want me to just approach it from a general perspective? Anything I see? What's the deal?
I mean, I have a couple replays. All of them are losses. You think that's fine?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think there's just as much to learn in wins and losses as long as the game wasn't just a shit stomp. Either way.
This was like a pretty even game. I was a Slark.
Oh, Slark! I haven't done Slark in a while.
Yeah, neither have I. I haven't played him in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I've been having success with him in my pubs recently, but he does feel a lot better, and we saw him at the tournament he was picked. I didn't see if he won the third game. I saw that he won the first. He won one with the Liquid won it, and then lost.
Yeah, I only saw that game.
The only difference that I saw in the Liquid games, by the way, for anyone who I know is already going to ask, is even though I think Slark is viable now, he's still countered by the same shit. So Slark into Axe is unfucking playable. Like that's like the worst fucking matchup in the game for Slark, bar none, not even close. So they picked Slark and then got Axe, Quapt, and those are both good fucking cores against Slark. So, just for the record, everybody, that's my opinion. I think he's actually a viable hero now, but if it's a bad Slark game, it's still a fucking bad Slark game. Nothing changes with that. So this looks like a pretty decent Slark game.
This is like the day after the patch.
Okay.
So I was just kind of like picking heroes.
Yeah,
seeing, like whatever.
When you say you're picking heroes, do you think, oh, it looks like a decent Slark game, I'll try it out, or did you just say I was going to pick Slark going into the game?
There was like a Luna in this game, right?
No. Oh my god, dude. Okay, 2 out of 4. Fucking Christ. Can you see my screen? There wasn't a Luna in this game. Yeah, okay. So you see...
Well, there was another Slark game that I had that was versus Luna, but that game... I mean, we could look at, but
would you rather see this one or that one? I mean, it's your session.
This game was much more even. The other game ended pretty quickly.
Well, we can get to both. Is that if we're gonna watch 2 games, are those the 2 you're choosing?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, then let's watch them both. Let's get them done. So, I don't mind the starting items. Okay. That guy wanted to die. Okay, so you now have...
Radiant structures are fortified.
We are fortified here, so the lane just pushed. Honestly, it may have been me, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, here's the deal, man. I've now had this in 2 of my coaching sessions already today. What should have happened here? Any idea?
When it's fortified?
So your creeps got fortified. This should happen even when your creeps don't get fortified, but what should happen here?
I just start auto-denying my melee?
Yeah, you're gonna have to miss this creep. I'm sorry, man. This creep's not yours. Can't have it. Okay? Like, you gotta do this. Otherwise, if you lose lane equilibrium, it's because you chose this creep. Is it worth losing lane equilibrium over 1 creep?
No.
No, it's just not. You gotta have the discipline. I literally made a tips and tricks video on this because I lost like 3 lanes because of it, okay? I literally lost 3 games Meaning I lost the lane 3 times because I made this mistake. So, take it from me if you don't believe me, just take the deny. Just deny, auto-attack, deny, and your lane is almost back to normal. You see that? Like, it's almost going to be back to normal if you auto-attack, deny the second that gets half. And then, instead, now it's... yeah, this looks real... You know what I'm saying? I can see you're in the right mindset, but at this point, it's probably already too late. It's going to be so close. Oh, this is so... Oh, but I just hate it because you're like, look at how much time you have to spend on this, you know what I'm saying?
Stressed out focusing on
this is all about 1 creep. It wasn't worth it?
What, getting that 1 creep?
Yeah.
No.
No. Like, just trust me in the future, you know what I mean? Like, just take it. Like, just take the one, like, just take the hit. It sucks your team forwarded, and I would even say if your team didn't forward, I would still take the 1 deny, okay? I made a video on this for a specific reason. It's so shit. And for me to tell you that this is happening because of that, is that kind of helpful but depressing at the same time?
I mean, I definitely see what you're saying. I tried to pull the creep on. I tried to pull the melees onto my range creep there.
You're actually doing a decent job of combating it, but at this point, it's already too late. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you've actually been struggle busting it for like a minute and a half because of that 1 creep. Like, like it just sucks. Like, it just sucks. And you would just. I've realized that I love the comfort of missing that 1 creep to have it be exactly where I want it for the as long as possible. But your support does pull, so this actually works out fine. But yeah, it's just not worth the 1 creep. This is okay. Slark 8 Period is so nice. It actually lets him do stuff like this a lot better.
I think I ended up getting double waves here, and then they went under my tower.
Yeah, I would have killed that range creep, by the way. I think you were a little too passive with that. So basically, what's your job when the supports pull?
To kill the creep wave here as fast as possible.
What do you want this creep wave in relativity to this creep wave to be like?
Should they be even?
They should be equal, right? So if your coddle
I definitely never thought of that.
Yeah, I've been talking about it sometimes, but if you haven't seen the coaching session, it's fine. So just monitor whatever's happening to this wave. If this wave is dying off, do whatever you can. Like, this is when you have 6 tangos, right?
Yeah.
Tango up, kill this, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But, like, if you see this and it's not getting denied, and, like, however many creeps are alive, leave that many alive here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just never thought of that until now.
Yeah. So that's your job when your supports pull. Very important. So that's where your player perspective should be. So yeah, it's like, just notice how if you don't do this, then suddenly the lane gets to shit again.
Yeah, this is like really
so
bad.
Same thing, right? Like, these are all it is a carry is everything that can possibly go wrong, you prevent it. That's all your job is. So what I notice a lot with players, especially that have watched my coaching sessions, or at least just know lane equilibrium, which honestly I don't know very many that come without having watched my sessions, is that you just need to do whatever it takes to keep it normal, right? You literally just need to counteract whatever is happening that affects it, whether that's an offlaner dragging the creep wave, or a support pulling, or one of your supports fucking up the aggro, or the offlaner pulling it into the big camp. Like, whatever it is, you just need to either not let it happen in the first place, like the offlaner pulling it into the big camp, if preventable, or counteracting whatever it is. So, however it affects the lane, neutralize it in the best way that you can. In this case, obviously, you would have killed more creeps. And now, because you didn't kill the creeps, same thing that happened in my last session, the double wave pushes into your tower. Because the double wave's under your tower, the next creep wave arrives under your tower, it pushes that creep wave, suddenly the lane's rubber banding back the other way. That's just what happens. Every single time. Every single time. So your support's actually pulling, which is nice, you know, benefits of being in 4K. Problem with being in, like, 2K is, like, you're probably worse at creep aggro, or equilibrium, and your supports have no idea what they're doing. So, but nice that you are getting a little, surprisingly getting very good support from your supports here. But the Centaur's still getting way more than he should, by the way. Like, I think you know that.
Yeah.
I think you know that.
Yeah.
But you're obviously still winning the lane.
I mean, ideally the lane should just be sitting in front of my tower, like right about here.
Yep.
Never have gotten pushed.
And the only reason this got messed up is, one, the first thing, but that got counteracted by your coddle. And then two, the you just not responding to the pull properly. And the goal is that there's so many things that can change the lane equilibrium. And over time, the first step is to be able to manage the lane equilibrium perfectly with nobody else affecting it. The second, which I'm guessing you can do based on what I've seen, but in this case that didn't happen. But the second case is then, like the second step, more advanced step, is to be able to understand how each thing affects it and the only thing you can do about it. So like that forward at the start, for whatever fucking reason, like you have to know that that's going to slightly push the wave, and you have to probably eat at least one missed last hit, maybe two sometimes, in order to right that. Because the lane equilibrium trumps everything, man. It just does. Like, you will give up 70 gold to make that Centaur be missing a level and a half. Like, you just have to, right? A level and a half on Centaur is way more valuable than 2 CS for you.
Yeah.
It just is. So, because the main thing that limits your farm in the mid game is what?
Getting pressured.
Yeah, getting pressure. Getting pressure, exactly. And so if you make the offlaner a fucking useless piece of shit, then you're not getting pressure. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Because if the offlaner's weak and the enemy carry shows up to your lane, what do?
Say it again.
If the offlaner is having a bad game and the enemy carry is really strong and shows up to your lane, what do?
Leave?
Yeah, but if the offlaner's having a good game and the enemy carry's having a good game and the enemy carry shows up to your lane and you go to their safe lane and their offlaner shows up,
yeah, you're just stuck.
You know, you have no option. Like, jungle? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important. Like, even if they have their carries having a really good game or whatever, if the offlaner's shut down, you have good options, right? So that's the importance of it. Just to express to you and everyone here, that's why it's so important. Toxic teammate that needed to be muted, or what?
I don't remember. Probably.
I saw you pull up the scoreboard and click the mic.
Oh, it was a silencer. Yeah, he was really active. And he was like, "Yo, I'm shitting on this invoker so hard," and then they rotated to kill him. Like, I predicted this was gonna happen. And I was like,
he was just feeling himself, huh?
And then he went top, and he started to tilt really early.
Okay. So you have Aquila. I really hope you pressure here. You got level 7. I would have even packed to push this.
Dire's structures are fortified. Dire's bottom tower needs some help.
Over this. Obviously, this is Slark specific, but it applies to every hero, like the concept. So you pressure this tower. The reason why you use Pact first off is so that you push the tower faster. It's just a little bit faster, right? A little bit more damage, a little bit more pressure. Yeah. And this is a spot where if you take a lot of health and damage and trade, maybe not like too much, but a little bit, who does that benefit? You or Centaur?
I mean, if I'm hitting him here, I'm taking tower shot, right?
Yeah, so you don't want to hit him, but what can you do?
Use Dark Pact?
Can't you just queue up a Pact and move command him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, this is a small example of, like, just not pushing an advantage. Force him to salve, right? Right now?
Yeah.
You'll force him to salve. Make him do it again later. What happens?
He won't have a salve.
He's out of lane. And if he walks up, you kill him. That's how you set up kills, right? You do it now, make him salve, and then you do it again, and if he comes back at half health, he dies.
Yeah.
And that's the goal, is like, the reason why I'm pointing it out now is, like, almost every kill setup is by properly establishing an advantage and then properly applying the pressure such that, like, the third or fourth time you're applying the pressure, you shit on the guy. Like, that's usually what happens. It doesn't start with that first, like, there's no, like, okay, I'm suddenly going to kill this guy. It's like setting it up for later. Heroes like Jug may be able to kill them right off the bat, but, like, Slarks and Lifestealers and Ursas, these heroes just wear you down, and then eventually you have half health, you walk in the lane and die. Like, that's how you should play it. So look for these opportunities where, you know, you probably don't want to tank the tower, but you can definitely pack this guy and trade with him.
I have Fortitude to keep the catapult
that's
alive.
good. That's fine. But you were also tanking the tower during that, so, like, it's a good concept, but you did take damage during it.
How can I not take damage, though?
Just, like, walk out of tower range. I'm saying, like, if you're gonna fort to save the catapult, like,
Okay.
don't
I
be in
see.
tower. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
And the
I-
catapult will still be alive.
Yeah. You just took like an extra 3 tower shots, which little thing. But forwarding for catapult is always is usually correct if it's going to be a significant amount of damage. And I think you could have actually bullied that centaur out if you had started pacting him consistently. And you also had a salve, so you wouldn't even have to have downtime. I would have actually used this salve. I would have put the salve in my inventory, packed the guy, walked away. Like, I won't let him stun me after I finish my pact, okay? Like, I gotta make sure you understand. Right. I'm not letting him stun me. And then I'm continuously walking at him and pacting. I guarantee he'll get the message. Like, he's either gonna back off or he's gonna die. Like, that's the message you're leaving him with. Obviously, you have to be a little careful because of Sunstrike. But you should definitely be willing to take yourself down to like half HP pacting the other guy. So what I've noticed is that you're not really rotating between lane and jungle at all. So I'm gonna go and rewind to 5 minutes. Just put on a brief fast forward because until you're level 7, you can't really do it anyway. So I'm just gonna fast forward. So you push this tower at 7. So this is actually really good. You like stalled the catapult until you were strong enough to push with Aquila. So this is good, by the way, in case if that was what you were planning.
Yeah.
So,
I always think if I have Aquila, I'm gonna push it.
Okay, nice.
Radiant fortified their structures.
Yeah, so just notice this is a spot where if you're going to back off like this should definitely be a stacked big camp. I thought I noticed this before. This should definitely be a stacked big camp. And then, so this is one big camp missed. This is the kind of stuff I always try to point out to myself.
Oh, I see. I'm stacking it.
Yeah. You're stacked. Yeah, you're stacking. Why would you not kill it instead of stacking? Like, when will you kill it instead of stacking, I guess is the question.
Maybe when the offline tower is gone?
When you have time. Meaning, like, you literally have time to kill it. Like,
okay.
It was 8:50.
There's something else to do.
Yeah, it was 8:50, so you literally had time to walk over and stack it. You didn't have time to kill it. My point is, like, always, stacking makes you take more damage, leaves you more vulnerable, so you only stack if you actually can't kill it. And you should kill any small creeps you can every time you stack if you have time. If you have time to kill them. Like, if you have 3 seconds to hit the camp, you know you can't clear it in 3 seconds, kill the big creep, or kill the medium creep, kill whatever creep you can. It's something I see a lot of 4K, 5K players do, is they'll end up with, like, a quad stack at their big camp that could have been worn down to, like, a 2.5 or 3 stack over time, and they, like, left it there, and now it's just a quad stack, and then the enemy takes it. So that's something I see a lot in the 4K, 5K bracket. So this is something where, like, that camp should have been stacked, the big camp. And then this right here should get pushed with packed. This should not be happening here. Because at this point, your timing acceleration, your efficiency is way more than what he's getting by you giving it to him.
Okay, I definitely don't think like that.
Yeah, that's how I used it in my last session, and that's how I've started to think, is like, at what... So he was a Luna, and he had, like, Treads Aquila level 6 with, like, level 2 glaives. And I'm like, at that point, or level 1 glaives or whatever, I'm like, at that point, it's better to just, like, stay safe, sit back, and then once you get, like, Morbid plus level 3 glaives or something, okay, go hit jungle creeps, because at that point you're gaining so much from it that giving him a creep wave is fine. You know what I mean? Yeah. My idea is that I want to be able to either, like, clear stacks or be able to, like, clear the camp and be able to come back to the lane or, like, do something else. I don't want the camp to kill me enough that I'm, like, vulnerable or sacrificing control of the lane. Like, I don't want to sacrifice control of the lane because I'm killing camps. Okay? So the point I'm saying is on any hero, that point that you're hitting is if you're ahead in lane, you need to be able to, whatever dominance you're establishing in lane, and what I mean by that is not necessarily, like, stopping them from getting every creep, but if you're ahead in lane and you know you're advantaged, as long as that camp is not making you disadvantaged, like you're literally taking all your health and damage or something, I've done it a few times, like where I'll just be like, that was a bad camp to farm. It just means that you're pushing the efficiency too early. But you could easily clear this, push it into his tower, meaning like just shove it so your lane's in his tower, and then go clear a stack and wait for the 10 seconds that the camp's respawning and gaining health. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna regen back to full. And effectively, you gave him one wave to get a big camp stack. Like, that's definitely worth it, right? Like, that's way worth it. is how I look at it. So it's all that balance of how much are you giving them for what you're gaining, and that every hero hits it differently. Every situation is different. Like, you know, if you had a rougher lane, obviously it's later and later. But you had a good lane here. So making sure you utilize that advantage. This is a spot where I would have 82 CS. You know what I mean? Like, you have good farm, but I would have 8 or 9 more.
This was whack. This was insane.
This is bonkers. I mean, I saw you TPing with no ulti, and I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? But I let it play out. So that's just you literally saying, I don't have my key survivability tool and aggression tool, and I'm going to go do something. That's what this is. It's that simple. There's not much else to say about it. I didn't mind what you did to that centaur, but it's just like whenever you use your aggression tools, you need to know, chill pill. Discipline, that's all it is, man. Discipline.
Yeah.
Literally discipline. It's like, I asked the guy last session, I'm like, when are you looking to be aggressive? He's like, Eclipse, Omni Slash on Jug. It's like, if I have Infest on Nakes, I'll play completely different than I do if I don't, you know? Like, you need to know what your abilities permit you to do, period. Like, and you have to live within those boundaries, and like, this is a perfect example of just lack of discipline. I do it sometimes too. You'll do it more often than I do. We need to trim it up to less. And all I do is think about what my boundaries as a hero are, how those boundaries are affected by levels and items, and cooldowns. And then I behave accordingly. And you have to have that discipline, otherwise you will randomly die. The only time you randomly die on Slark, I feel like 99% of deaths on Slark are misplays. I'd say 99%. Like, this hero is so survivable that unless you're having a terrible game, meaning like you're just getting shut down like crazy, every death's a misplay. Like, pretty much every death. Like, you can avoid it. If you're having a good Slark game, you should literally never die. Is my opinion. Like, even in the games that I lost the other day, I was like 9-0-6 and we lost as Slark. I literally didn't die until we were losing racks. It's like, if you're playing correctly on Slark, you will not die. It's just how it is. So that's how I really like Slark for this aspect. Okay, I wouldn't walk here. Why?
I don't see much around the map.
So what's Slark primary advantage? Best part of his kit over everything else in the game. Only hero that does it.
His ult? Like the regen from his ult, maybe?
Okay, it is his ult, but not the regen. What else about his ult?
The move speed?
Dude, it lets you know when you're under wards.
Oh, yeah.
That's literally the best part of Slark. Like, the most broken part of Slark is that you know when you're in vision. So, the reason why you should literally never die on Slark is because you know when you're in vision. Okay? So, if you always know when you're in vision as a carry, imagine every other carry in the game knowing when they're in vision. Okay? Like, imagine how easy it is to play the game. So, not only are you always in vision, or you always know when you're in vision, but you have escape mechanics on top of it. So, Slark is like the primary example of a hero that if you never misplay, you just don't die. Like, that's just how it is. So, will I ever make an aggressive move where I know they can see me doing it?
No.
No. So, I do this. I walk to this camp. I walk here. See this? Pick up bounty. And I walk back.
Walk back to...
Like, all the way this way. And I'm flying myself a sentry if nobody's dewarding it. Or I'm not coming back. That's the two choices. I simply... This is how you die as Slark. Willingly walking through vision onto their side of the map. That's how you die. Like, it's actually just how you die. You either walk all the way bottom, or you go join your Pango in lane. You just don't go do what you were doing. That's not what you do. Because you know they see you, and I mean, I personally immediately fly myself a sentry right now. This is a spot where is this word?
Probably up on the hill. Like on that worst spot.
It's gone now, so never mind. It's not there. It was up there, but it's gone now. And you know that because you walked back through.
Yeah.
But even then, like, what I will do is, you know, I will deward if nobody else does, because at the end of the day, it is net gold now because of the way they changed it.
You got a lot of XP.
And you actually get XP. It used to be like a net trade of XP, and like even gold. But now you're seeing. Where's their word?
I mean, I can't really click anywhere, right? Can you even see where I have my mouse?
I'm on your player perspective. This is what you were seeing in game. If you know what I mean. So, like, I'm going to rewind. So perfect skill, like the skill on Slark is you monitor this at all times. You want to know how to be a good Slark player, chat? When you're walking around, this is like in the corner of your eye. This is what you're looking at the entire time, like every time. And you should look at their lineup preemptively, like every game, and you should know what ways can they see me. So if I'm against Bounty Hunter and I'm showing up and my ult's off, am I assuming it's a ward?
No.
I have to guess it's a Bounty Hunter. So if I have dust on me, and my ult goes off, and to me it's like, it doesn't make sense for them to have a ward here, what am I immediately doing?
Dusting.
I'm scanning on top of me if I have it. Otherwise, I'm dusting. I'm scanning on top of me, and if it hits the bounty, I'm dusting. I will use scan for that. Otherwise, like, to me, it's worth it. So if I don't have scan, I will dust, though. But point is, I'll scan first. This is like, I mean, I'll tell you, because I've played 600 games of Slark, these are the type of mechanics that, like, if you spam a hero, you are super fucking good at them. I am super fucking good at this. So if you want to really learn this, you can watch my player perspective on Slark. It's the fact is I've played 600 Slark games. It's just like I will be better at the little nuances. Maybe not overall decision making, but I will be better at nuances if I've played the hero 700 times and somebody else has played it 150. It's just like how it is. So I like whenever I try to learn heroes, I learn people who spam them because they learn little nuances and fancy little things that take you hundreds of games to learn. So right here, whenever I'm in this fight, I see that I'm in vision. Right here. I see that I'm in vision, then I'm out. Then I'm in vision. Where's the ward?
Probably like right in front of that tree, like the little trees.
Yeah. What I would do here, once I get done chasing, is I walk right here. Why do I walk right here?
To see if the ward is like right on top of the ramp or in front of the trees.
Yeah, I can see exactly where it is based on what the trees are blocking. Yeah, so we know it's somewhere out there. We don't know exactly where just yet, but we could probably deward it with a sentry. Oh, nope, it's right. I can actually pinpoint it for you right here. It's right here. Yeah, I was gonna say it's right here. And obviously it's kind of unfair I can see it, but it saw you here, so I knew it was somewhere in like right here. That's something you get really good at if you pay attention. Like, really good. You start to use trees for obstructing vision, so you know, like, where the ward is. And honestly, if you play Slark and you hone this skill, it really does help a lot with map awareness and understanding of enemy wards on other heroes other than Slark. Because you start recognizing patterns and stuff, too. It's something I've noticed. Like, you can learn a lot from Slark about other heroes.
They're beating on Dire's top tower.
I only went because I saw he had no mana for spin.
Okay. I didn't see that, but if that's what you saw, then this is a play that I would not make without a TP. This is very ballsy. So I don't like this play. And the reason I don't like this play is because your entire team's top. So if the enemy was any good, I think they would react to this. Like, Tusk is respawning. Jakiro was just right there. If they were adamant, they would not let you get away with this. Do you see how that would occur? That they wouldn't let you get away with this? Or no?
Not really.
Like,
I don't get how my team is being top. How does that relate to it?
Because good players will see 3 of your heroes top, and they know if they bring 3 or 4 heroes, you're not getting any help, and you're dead as shit.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, what they'll do is they'll see you go on Jug, they'll see top, they'll already have known about top, like, meaning, like, they'll preemptively... Here's how good players function, okay? Like, I've learned it myself, and I've started thinking this way. When I see 3 heroes top, I immediately, in the back of my mind, subconsciously say, nobody else on the enemy team is allowed to get anything done anywhere else than top. So the minute they try to do something other than top, we shit on them for it. Like, if they try to solo defend bottom, or, you know, make a play for a gank mid or something when I see 4 heroes top, I'm not going to let that happen. Like, it's just not... I'm going to immediately be ready to respond to it, because that's the idea of Dota, is you have to delegate enough resources to get something done. And you did not have enough resources to get this done without the enemy team properly punishing it, like, if they did. And this is a death that 20% in your bracket, they'll kill you. In my bracket, 90%. I'll die here. 90% easily. Like, almost every game. If the other supports are good, I'll die here. So I look at this as like, if you're gonna hunt, I hunt here. For what reason?
Because you'll get top tower, you can take control of their jungle.
Yeah, and if they choose to fight me, I have teammates.
Okay.
That's how I look at it. Like, if I find a kill here, it's great. If I don't, what happens?
Your team just pushes.
You just take
takes
top
the
tower, you proceed farming neutrals. Does the enemy team know where you are?
No.
No, because you're just farming neutrals. But if you go here and you don't get a kill, what happens?
They can bring up.
You just wasted your time. And you reveal yourself. Maybe they go on your team top, too.
Yeah.
That's how I look at heroes that assassinate. You have to play around your team. You can't go for these solo pickoffs like this. Especially when you're like the most farmed hero on your team. Really important. This is something I used to do all the time. Like, I feel like if that Tusk didn't give up so easily, that you would have gotten punished for that. Nobody responded. Look at that. Not a single hero on the enemy team even did anything about it. And they could have. You had no ult, no TP, and they let you get away. That's how I look at it. So you return back top in the same ward vision as before. I'm assuming it's still there based on what I saw. Yeah, it is. So if I ever get spotted, like this should just not live, right? Like
You're ferrying out a sentry, dewarding it.
Yeah. And the fact is, with how sentries work now, or how gold works now with wards and stuff we talked about, it is actually worth it for you, right? It's not like in the old days it was like 25 gold or some shit for a ward, and it was really hesitant. You didn't want to slow down your own timings. But dewarding a Slark, like in my high tier, I will ask supports to buy sentries for me, and if they don't, I will buy them myself. But I will first try to get them to buy it. So this rotation overall is good because your team is mid. And the other team's like this is a good flank. This is good because you're making a play around your team. And then, like, worst case, you do exactly what you did. You get one kill, get the fuck out. Okay, we're out. Cool. I would have packed it and pounced there, by the way. I take no risks.
Pouncing away.
Yeah, pounced away and packed it at the same time. Because I packed, and then I queue up my pounce right after my pack is about to end. Because if I get stunned right before I pounce. That's a spot where... How do I word it? On Slark, the beauty is you learn this concept better than any other hero, but you can apply it to other heroes. After you get out of this, are you ever dying? After you escape this scenario, are you ever dead?
Like, immediately after?
Like, talking like... Once you pounce away, are you ever dying? Like
in a team fight?
Right now, if you pounce, are you ever dying right now? Ever.
No.
If you don't pounce, and somehow you get Ice Path into Centaur TPing in and blinking on you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all I'm saying is there's a slight chance, just 1% even, that you die here. Okay, like 1% if you don't just take the safe route. Like, here I just pounce and packed and I packed and pounce away. That's all I do. Like, or I packed, give myself that chance to decide. Like, give myself the second and a half plus the 1 second of ticking. And if nothing's happening, then I don't pounce. But my point is, like, I hate not using packed or pounce there. It's just not worth it. I'm telling you on average. Right there, maybe you feel incredibly safe. But just, if you came off of a fight and you know that you can pact out of anything they do, just packed while you're walking away. Like, it's just so worth it. You'll thank me later on the random times where you didn't pack and you died. Like, I've learned that if you hold abilities on Slark when you could have prevented a potential death, it's just... Like, even if that means if you don't know where the enemy team is, I used this as an example earlier with Miracle in one of his games where he didn't know where the enemy team was. There was a Monkey King Primal springing him, like you could hear it. He had no idea where the enemy team was, and he just ulted. Like, that's a perfect example of what I'm trying to say. Just, who gives a shit if it was wasted? If it meant that the 5% chance that they were going to kill you has no chance to kill you now because you utilized your abilities to do that. It's just an example. Okay, so this is a game where I would 100% buy Dust. This is a bad kill. Why don't they react at all?
I think they brought a couple heroes, but it took a while.
Yeah, so I've not coached Slark in a long time. I feel like the last time I coached Slark, my coaching style was way different. So we're gonna push top. We saw Jakiro running here. We don't see Jug. We saw Invoker top, and we don't see Tusk. Okay, we see Jakiro mid, and we see Tusk mid. I'm scared of this guy. I literally see those 3 heroes, and I'm not doing shit right now. Like, I don't know what else to say about this map awareness aspect, but, like, this is really good that you're scouting like this. Don't go for the kill. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, you don't have your team with you other than Lion. Do you see how these are, like, just potential throws, or am I...
No, I see it.
Okay. Yeah, it needs to be really calculated decision-making. I actually think my best game of Slark, pretty much ever, honestly, pretty much my ever best game of Slark, and I'm not saying that in a way of bragging, I'm saying, like, I was actually in shock how well I had made decisions, because I used to always play Slark well mechanically, but I never really had the decision-making down. Check out this game. This was, like, in my opinion, the definition of, like, decision-making. If you want to...
Yeah, I saw that on stream.
Yeah, this was, like,
it was sick.
Yeah, this, like, I'm just saying, like, for me, like, every decision I made that game was incredibly calculated in terms of what kills to go for. I think one of the most important skills on any hero, but Slark will teach you the best, is having the discipline to not take kills, like, that are not good. Meaning, like, kills that can potentially go bad. You just don't take them. You don't ever have to. You simply don't have to. Slark is so mobile and so elusive that you can wait for perfect opportunities almost every time. Like, almost every time you can afford to just wait for a perfect opportunity to arise. And I look at this as, like, just another 5 to 10% chance to throw a death away. That's what I look at it as. And the better the opponent, the more often you will die. Like, that's how I look at it. And that's what I've realized as a Slark player. I would go for these kills because it would work in lower brackets, and then once I got better at Dota, I'd still go for the kills, and I would die. This how, and once I get into MMR, I mean. So... Okay. So who are you? You see Centaur bottom, you see... I don't think you see Jug, that's just like a bug. This isn't you.
Defending?
Yeah, it's not you.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling people too.
But here's the idea on Slark. The point is you know when they see you, right? So you need to put yourself in as least vulnerable positions as possible. It's like 99% not you defending towers ever. Like, it's just not you. And these are the type of towers on Slark, I hate to say it, you just have to give them up. Like, if your team's not going to defend this shit, Lion's in your spot. I told my Luna last session, like, if somebody's taking the farm you're supposed to be getting, or take, like, and you have one place you're supposed to be that's correct, you kind of just have to play there. Unless whatever's happening on the map is actually preventing you from playing there. Losing this tower is not actually preventing you from playing top. Do you see the difference here? Like, it's not...
What would a scenario be where I couldn't play top?
I guess, like, the enemy team four-manning your tier 3.
Okay.
Like, something where the push is so drastic that if you don't react to it, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I would view it on Slark. Like, on a hero like Slark, you want them to react to everything you're doing more so than any other hero in the game. Like, Slark as a reactionary hero is really bad. Like, almost every good Slark engagement is you forcing them to react to you and you going somewhere else and separating them up. Because Slark is, like, the worst team fighting carry in the game, I think. I think he's, like, amongst the worst. So, he capitalizes on splitting the enemy team apart. So reacting to what they're doing is, like, almost never correct. And you should only do when absolutely forced. This is scaring me. Yeah. These are just, like, this is why you shouldn't be here in the first place. Like, I'm getting nervous just watching it. Like, I'm like, holy shit, this is not where you should be. What's happening? And that's a global that barely saves you. Like, so this is because you put yourself at the tower in the first place. These situations arise because you're reacting to them unnecessarily. Like, yeah, your team should be defending this, but at the end of the day, it's just not your job. And on other heroes, that will get you killed. Like, Slark gets away with it because he's Slark, but it's still bad, right? It's still not good. So how I view this game is that I'm doing the dead lane concept. I'm literally just shoving in top continuously. And if you see what you saw top, then you look to go do something elsewhere. And the minute they separate and only have one hero top or 0, you go back to top. And then you force multiple heroes there. The point of Slark, in most cases, is they cannot defend with one hero. Or you can make them defend on one hero and then come through their jungle and like kill them 5v4 mid lane. Something like that. Like the kill that you had mid, where you swooped behind them and got the one kill and backed off, that was a process of you pushing top and then looping all the way here and looking for that. And that's good. The goal of pushing lanes on Slark is to literally buy yourself 30 seconds to go hunt people. But make it a calculated decision. Like, make it a specific reason why you're going for this kill. Like, when you scouted them out and you saw Jug, Centaur, Invoker, you don't go for that fucking kill. Like, you just don't go for that. Like, it's just not a play. You like, that's not what... Our goal is to make every decision be not punishable. So you were in ward vision that entire time. But it definitely pains me that you've been, ward here, yeah. So... Definitely buy your own sentries. Ask. If nobody buys it within 30 seconds of you asking, I'd say even 10 seconds, buy one. Like, or 3. Like, you're just gonna deward them. Like, it's free. And the last thing you should do is, watch the game I played. I literally got sentries and then requested a gym at, 19 minutes into the game, and they lost all their vision. And it's like, you know how important vision is, right? You know how it is. The other team gets completely dumpstered if they can't see anything you're doing. Like, that's the whole point. Very crucial part of Slark. And on other heroes, the way you can apply it is that... So that was fine to do what you just did there, by the way. Like, to just hit that guy twice and back off.
Yeah, I figured he can't kill me.
Yeah, that's good. That's good play. Always looking for random essence shift stacks is very good on Slark. But the one thing I want to say is, like, what you can do on other heroes is, like, if you're hunting or whatever, or looking to make a play, you can just see them react to what you're doing if they react. You know what I mean? Like, when you start to do something ahead of time, like, you're walking into their top lane and suddenly their carry changes the way he's been playing the last 5 minutes, you can infer they have wards there, you know? Like, and it's something that, it applies to every hero, but Slark, it's nice because you actually know with 100% certainty exactly where that ward is. And for me, what I realized is, at first I was a little bit lazy with checking wards. Like, I would know they have a ward, and then I would be lazy about finding it. And so my recommendation is, if you're going to practice this on Slark, is to recognize it's going to take you longer than it should to start off. Like, you're going to take 5 seconds to recognize a ward that I would do in less than 1. Like, just being honest with you. But what happened, because that's how I did it, at least. That's what happened to me. But the goal is, like, make sure you take the time to learn the little nuances of finding wards, and then you'll hone that skill. And that's something, if you want to learn it to the best of your capabilities on Slark, I feel like once you learn it, it never goes away, at least for me. Like, once I learned it, you just get used to it. And I just played, like, 5 games of Slark in a row after I realized I had to hone this concept. Like, I just focused it on the mid-game. I'm like, I'm going to pay attention to where all their wards are. They're not going to have a single ward. And then ever since then, anytime I play Slark and I'm ahead, the enemy team never has any vision. And that's like a huge deal. Huge part of Slark. Notice how they're seeing all your rotations. And it's a big deal. They can set up ganks on you. They can counterplay your ganks. So you're doing the right thing in terms of map. I don't like this teepee, though. So this
I actually have an issue with this a lot. When I shove out their top lane as Radiant, what I'm supposed to do if I'm scared. Like, sometimes I just TP to that shrine, the offlane shrine, and just farm there.
Okay.
But that feels pretty awful sometimes.
So I've got a quick question for you. Other than Slark's knowing where wards are, what's his second best quality? I almost blurted it out.
That he's hard to kill?
What does he have that only 2 other heroes in the game have?
Yeah, I don't know.
Night vision. He has full 1800 night vision.
Oh, word, yeah.
So, what should you do when you're scared here?
Like, sit behind the creeps a little bit so I can see...
I Shadow Blade, and I take the widest corner on every single thing. Like, I go here, here, here. Like, I do like a windy thing that sees every fucking direction from, like, the only thing that you can do wrong on Slark is walk around a corner into 3 heroes.
Okay.
Because you have 1800 night vision. Like,
yeah.
If they have... Okay, imagine this. Imagine playing Slark, okay? You properly deward them and properly path so you can see max range around every corner. How do they ever kill you when you are shadow bladed?
I guess they don't.
They don't. Like, that's the point of Slark. One of the best skills of Slark is dewarding and scouting at nighttime. Like, if it's nighttime, Slark is twice as strong as he is during the day. Like, he is literally, like, a miniature version of Night Stalker in that regard. Like, it's actually his second best trait. I think his best trait is knowing where their wards are. His second best is night vision. Like, it's the most underrated part of Slark in the entire game. Luna and Night Stalker, the only other two heroes. I guess Lycan during ulti have full night vision. So, like, no other hero in the game, right? Like, that's so massive. So when you say you're scared, the reason why I don't like this TP is you don't know where they are, and you can play smart enough that they can't do anything about it. But because they have this ward sentry here that you haven't dealt with, suddenly this whole thing becomes a little odd. Like, you can't really run around in here freely. But you could have dealt with this like 5 minutes ago, you know what I mean? Or like a few minutes ago or whatever. And that's why it's so important, because this TP is very scared. Like, and you shouldn't... I'm not saying that you shouldn't eventually TP there, but you should let them know where they are first, and while you're doing that, you should be scouting and potentially seeing people separated. You know what I mean? Notice if you watch my game back, you really should. How many times I'm doing that, and eventually I know they're separated, and I use that to kill somebody. Like eventually. It leads to me killing somebody. It's really important. It's like knowing when to pinpoint their separation, and Slark is probably the best indication that you deward and like use his vision properly, and it's like the most important skill I think on Slark. And it teaches you map awareness really well on other heroes too. But Slark's like you get free confirmation. Why not? So I hate that you're bottom here instead of top, and it's only because you TP'd out of top.
Yeah.
So that would that's a map. That's what I call a map surrendering TP. You're just like you're surrendering control of the map. You're allowing the enemy team to group up on your team like this because top lane's not being dealt with. During this whole time, the difference would have been you've been scouting. Sure, maybe they sneak Roche, kind of sucks. But the minute they go mid, you're pushing this in and you're already taking the tier 2 during this time. Rather than just now getting it. Yeah, it's just faster. It's the same thing, faster, in the other lane. And so suddenly, you also have a TP, so you literally have the choice between taking a tier 2 or TPing to fight, right? You have the choice, which is even better. But now suddenly you feel pressured to fight because you're not going to get the tier 2 fast enough. And it may end up working out, it's just that you didn't really have the choice this time. All I'm looking at is you didn't have the choice. And that's what I care about. Nice bash.
Yeah, that was really good.
Sick bash, bro. Oh, it's paining me to watch you just walk through all these wards. What should you do right now?
We're on top?
Okay. Hey, we did it. Cool.
I don't have a TP this
Yeah,
time,
that's
though.
the problem.
So I'm pretty sure I have to run back.
I would fly myself a TP the second that fight ended. I would literally say, I need to run top. I know they're going to push mid. Right here, that recognition happens. As you're running top. You see that?
But I run into this issue multiple times.
Okay.
Of like when a fight happens, it's bad. I ditch it. I pressure another lane, and I don't have a TP.
And you just need to, like, you actually need to fly yourself to courier right now. Like, it's just that simple.
Okay. Yeah.
And it needs to be something that, because you say you've had the issue, and I've had stuff like this too, for me, like different subjects, but similar idea, is you need to start learning the earliest you can possibly recognize. Like, I don't think it's reasonable for you to recognize this until you realize this is a losing fight and you need to go top. My thought process is, I recognize this is a losing fight, I need to go top. When I go top, I'm going to push it, they're going to walk down mid, I need to be ready to react to them at tier 3. And I need a TP. And the point of me going top is to pressure this lane while they are, so I don't have the time to go walk over and pick one up. I just don't. I have to fly myself one. If the courier was outside of base, I would walk all the way to the side shop and pick it up. You just have to do it. I would if the courier was not at base for whatever reason, I probably would have cleared that first wave, then walked and picked up a TP, then walked back. Is what I probably would have done. Exactly. So, but you did have the courier. You just need to have that awareness. Like, it's something you'll learn if you just pay attention. It's like every split pusher is the same in that regard. So you're walking all the way back, which really sucks, instead of hitting the tier 3, obviously. Like, it just sucks to have to do that.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, it just sucks to have that decision. Like, have to have that be your. Like, you could have pressured top, forced one back, and then TP'd. This is ballsy as well. He's just not gonna stun, I guess. So you have no mana. Yeah, no mana. Okay.
I didn't check. I just
Yeah, you
got
didn't.
one.
I saw with your perspective. I did not check. So if I checked him and saw no mana, I 100% make that play.
I'll take that as tribute.
Okay. Yeah, a bunch of little things. These little things add up real quick. I had this issue. This is why I wasn't as good as Slark, not even close, as like the top level players for a long time. Because these little decisions I've been pointing out to you are a culmination of like understanding Dota too, right? Like they're just little split pushing things. They're little map pressure things. The point of Slark is he actually teaches you to put yourself in perfectly calculated positioning every time. Because he can. He just can. He's faster than every other hero on the map. He can know when he's vulnerable based on vision. He can maneuver at nighttime as well as day. He just has no vulnerabilities during this, during his rotations, so you can learn to play accordingly. And it's something that if you practice it on Slark, it will carry over to other heroes. So you need to have a TP on you, and you need to be top. Alright, look at this. Somebody needs to push that wave, so if your Pango's not doing it, it's you. You definitely have not had a TP on you enough. If you have BKB, can't you just BKB ult TP out of literally anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a huge deal that if you once you have BKB, it's unbearable for me to see you not have a TP in your inventory, right? And I keep the Aquila in my backpack whenever I'm going for a play like this. Like, it needs to be calculated, right? You can't go for this play without a TP in your inventory. Like, I know it works, but look at what you see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so all these things add up to eventual deaths every now and then. And that's what we're trying to avoid happening. Okay, so you're going MKB, which is fine. That's fine as well, because Centaur's dead, but their Centaur is like not available.
I just want to group up and start fighting with my BKB. That was my idea for like when I started running into their jungle and decided.
Okay, here's the deal with Slark, man. You literally never group up and fight at literally any point in the game.
Yeah.
Like, the definition of a Slark game is that you will, if you are snowballing out of control, is that even if your team is 4-manning, you at least had forced somebody somewhere else first, and then you show up. Or you, like, took a tower for free, or whatever. Like, Slark is legitimately the worst team fighting carry in the entire game. The only time you ever force 5-man engagements is when you're, like, smoking or trying to get an objective done with a gank or something, but you never, like, walk down a lane as 5. You just never, like, I don't want to say never, but if there was a hero that never did it, it would be Slark. Because he's just worst team fighting carry in the game. And all he capitalizes on is vision advantage and mobility on the map. So with that in mind, though, you're obviously, you know, soaking a bunch of Essence Shift stacks. Okay. So this is what generally happens if you group up as Slark with 5 and you have a BKB. This, and this, and this.
Pretty bad.
You live because you're a Slark with BKB. You kill like 2 people and your entire team dies. Slark, as a hero, unless he has like 20 Essence Shift stacks going into a fight, does not deal enough damage such that the enemy team can just ignore you and kill the rest of your team.
Okay.
That's just how it is. Like, if you're the strongest hero on the map, which you are, I believe you have to be the most farmed or at least close to it. Okay, yeah, very close. And I still think with this, you're the strongest hero on the map right now. And my point is, like, if you're the strongest hero, especially on your team, this is how every team fight will go if you confront them head on. Like, it will be this. This. You have to separate them for your team. You have to. It's your job as Slark. And so, basically, probably the most important TP hero in the game as well. I don't love that play. Let me actually rewind that. I'm going to analyze that better than just saying I don't love it. Okay, you see Jug and Base. There's 2 heroes dead. Okay. That was a... I personally think you had to ult the second your pact went out. That was a little ballsy, personally. I would have ulted the second my pact went out. Just because if you didn't get your ult off there, you might have actually died. So I don't mind this. With mid lane, you see him bottom as well. Okay.
Dire's middle tower isn't going to last long.
Yeah, nobody understands Slark. Holy shit. Is this a fight ever?
In here. It shouldn't be,
No, it's
based
not.
on what I've learned now.
Yeah, it's not. You just never take head-on collisions with Slark.
So I should just run top now? Right after I get that Aegis.
You should be telling your team back off and reset. Like, there's just literally no reason to take a head-on 5-and-5 engagement. Like, in my opinion, like, there are exceptions, okay? There are, but they're so few that I would rather you approach it with this mindset and then learn the exceptions rather than, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather you play it every time the other way and then learn the exceptions. And rather than doing it this way. And you actually need to guide your team, because if you don't tell them this, they will just randomly fight without you. And if they choose to fight without you after you tell them, nothing you can do about it. Definitely would prioritize the Echo Saber over a Demon Edge. So this is fine because someone's mid. This is how Slark is. You literally say, oh, there's somebody mid and somebody top. Fuck one of these guys. That's how it works, okay? Like, this is a good decision. Somebody showed mid, you know they're not all here. Do this, okay? Like, I'm just pointing out to you, like, Slark can get away with this literally every time to the point that you never have to not do this. Like, if you're having a good game. The only time you should ever take 5-on-5 engagements if they are forcing it at your base. And even in that case, the TP that you had here can be avoided, and you're still putting them on a clock by forcing one lane, right? And then you're showing up to the fight, and what you're doing is, you know they're on a clock, so you know they have to respond to top, and you're just patiently waiting for someone to respond, and then you kill somebody else. Like, that's how you're playing it, right? Like, on Slark, you can never let yourself be forced to be the one pressing the issue. And the nice thing about Slark is you've misplayed probably 4 or 5 times in terms of in terms of where you should be playing on the map aggressive-wise, and you've only had one death. It's a nice part of Slark. Usually you just get away with it more times than you should, as well as you can also expend your ultimate in times where you shouldn't have had to use it, but it lets you get out. It's kind of like a get-out-of-jail-free card sometimes. Yeah, definitely should have a TP in your inventory for the last 20 minutes, but, you know, no reason to harp on that anymore. So notice how you force somebody top, and then your team got to pick off. It's exactly how this should start. Every time. Unfortunate. But
yeah,
that's an okay fight. That's an acceptable fight. Like, I think something just went wrong. It's kind of hard to analyze, honestly. Like, I really don't know what went wrong here. But that's a fight that's okay, because, like, I'm actually okay with the fight because of what led up to it. And you saw them all mid, somebody goes bottom by themselves, you kill them. You see them all here, go somewhere else, right now. Start running here. All the way here. You're never running into the enemy team like this, ever. So the minute you see them group up, somewhere else.
Okay.
What I do is I'll probably, like, go here, and if I see one of them go mid, I'll either go on this guy or loop back on these people. But, like, I'm never planning on confronting them head-on, ever. Like, ever. You never siege towers with Slark. So the second they bring in 5 heroes, or however many heroes they have, to your tower push, like, you go somewhere else and force them to react to it. You have to be so fucking patient on Slark. Like, you can never let them sit here defending, not leave, and then defend. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if you want this tower, it is done indirectly. 100% of the time. Slark, unless you have some other siege engine, okay? Like, unless you have some hero that they can't fight into, that can push for you, you are never hitting buildings. Is anyone else on your team hitting buildings?
No.
No.
So you're literally never doing this in this game. The exceptions, like I said, are if you have a hero that pushes that's unengageable. Like, you just can't, they can't go on them for whatever reason. And if they go, you can be prepared to turn it. But you are never the hero that does that. Ever, actually. That is a never. You are never hitting a building like this. Like, ever. On Slark. I've learned that lesson way too many times in 600 games, so just take my word for it. I fucked it up too many times. So this is what you should do originally, where you push in mid maybe a little bit, then go push top. Sadly, your silencer has boots of travel for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah, he had a whack build. He went Dagon too.
Nice. Boots of travel, Dagon, the classic. Yeah, I just have a major vision problem in this game, you know? Like, I feel like if you're at the advantage with Slark, the enemy should have literally nothing. So you saw them top, so this is fine. Display. And back off.
Once we have those, like, outer towers of top and mid, would this be acceptable to buy a gem, you think?
I would ask my team to buy a gem, otherwise I buy, like, 3 sentries.
But, like, at this point, we have enough
At this
map control
stage,
where-
you should have had a gem at, like, 20 minutes this game. If your team would buy it for you. Like, you should be requesting a gem, like, 20 minutes ago. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, watch my game yesterday, or 2 days ago, or whatever. I literally got a gem bot for me at 19 minutes. If people don't buy it for you, you at least buy sentries and kill the wards that are there. Like, yesterday, or 2 days ago, what happened to me was I literally, like, walked over 3 wards. Like, I knew there were 3 wards, and I'm like, can I just get a gem, guys? And, like, somebody bought me a gem, and I dewarded all of them instantly. Like, that's first priority. It's just worth it, right? If you deward them, they have no vision for, like, 7 minutes. Like, imagine how much you can do in 7 minutes when they don't have shit. Like, it's insane, right? I know the feeling when I get stream sniped. It's how hard it is to play without vision. And basically what I realize is if I don't do that on Slark, I feel this slow, inevitable loss of map control that leads to this at, like, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It just slowly...
The game is kind of just over.
Inevitably... Like, it feels so hard at this point, right? This game feels so hard. And, like, the thing is, for Slark, if you get that advantage at the start, it's literally on you. Like, every hero capitalizes on advantages differently. Every hero, right? Slark capitalizes on his advantage of being ahead by effectively collapsing the entire map on the enemy team's base. Like, they should be forced to farm as 4 or sit in base. That is what, like, they should be forced to do that. Or smoke gank you with, like, 4 or 5 heroes and barely kill you. Like, that should be how it goes. And, like, I can just tell you, you had a very similar start to what I had. Rewatch that game. I know you may have already seen it on stream. Rewatch it. You probably had we had a very similar start to each other. In terms of, like, the game and everything like that. That wasn't, like, a god-tier Slark game. Meaning, like, it was a good Slark game because all their stuns and shit are pactable. But same with this game, right? You have the same situation. And so we want you to... we want you to be able to do that as well. Like, all the examples of everything wrong, luckily I do have that game as an example. Just know that that game as an example of all the things I've been talking about is like 600 games of Slark culminated into knowledge in that one game. Like, it really was. Like, I feel like every aspect of this, like the dewarding, the map control, all the things I've learned about this dead lane concept have, like, changed my entire perspective of Slark. Because if you create this pressure constantly, it's just unplayable against if you get ahead on Slark. Like, the game, like... I'm sure you've played it, maybe you've seen it in games, or maybe you've played against Slarks when they're ahead and you can't see them. Like, how do you play? Like,
yeah,
he just solo kills anybody. You have to group as 4 or 5 all game. And then on Slark, you eventually force them to separate, because they have to, because you're out split pushing them because they're 4. And then finally, when they eventually separate, that small window, like in my game, what I did was I saw there were 3 top, and I knew they couldn't push, so I'm like, Luna's going to TP somewhere else. And so I literally shadow bladed all the way to here, intercepted her while her team was, like, still transitioning. And the thing is, Slark's just faster than everybody else.
Yeah.
He's just faster, so he can do all this stuff. And, like, yeah, I mean, honestly, this change to his ult was huge. It actually makes a large difference. Like, you just get places that much faster. And for anyone who doesn't know, if you're over haste, meaning you have effectively 600 move speed, if you get 10% slowed, you'll be 540. I don't know if you know that. So,
I don't know.
It does affect his ultimate. Like, if you get slowed and then you're in your ultimate, it will affect you. Okay, so, like, this huge was actually... I think this change was actually like 10% during his ulti or around the map, I think it's pretty massive. Okay, let's go ahead and pull up the other game real quick, and then we'll call it. Do you have the other game real quick? We took a little while on that game.
I just need to find it.
Yeah. It's been about an hour, so we'll go like 15, 20 minutes, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, this was a second Slark game, and it was I like usually at least go even in lanes. Like it's like that Centaur game, I would say is like pretty rough for my laning stage on average. But this game I got like it was really bad. I really lost lane versus Pango.
Okay. Let's check it out. Maybe it's a misplay, maybe it's just how it is, and we'll see what we can do about it. So you are 3-1. Yeah, it just looks like this looks like a traditional you come online too slowly as Slark. Slark's a pretty easy hero to go like 3-1-5 and just lose. The point of Slark is doing exactly what I said, is you have to be able to take over the entire map, basically. The only exception to that on Slark is if the rest of your team has a really good start and you don't, and you can recover while they're creating space for you, but that's not very common in PUBG. Okay. Okay, that's fine. I personally would not take Pounce here. I would have taken Essence Shift.
Because you can just swashbuckle out?
Yeah, what I would do is, so when I have Essence Shift here, I do exactly what you did with the Creep Wave. Right here. And then I walk at this guy, and if he trades with me, I'm hitting him with Essence Shift. I'm just not planning to kill him. I don't go for kills, period. Like, kills suck, okay? So all I care about is winning trades. I'd rather deny and farm every single creep than kill this guy, period. So I just, like, I don't think in terms of kills. I think in terms of establishing an advantage and then killing. What I do here, rather than what you do here, is I do this. Sorry. I'm trying to pause it. So I get this creep, and then I walk at this fucker. I don't A-click, I don't draw aggro. I walk out of range of creeps. You know what that range is?
I don't know, 300?
It's 500. You'll get it down. If you want to practice it in the lobby, it's 500 range for your own creeps to aggro. Or for the enemy creeps to aggro you. So, I literally walk to about right here, because that's 500 or so. I walk to right here, and if he chooses to man up on me with my support here, what am I doing?
Just hitting him?
And if he runs away, what am I doing?
Just going back.
Just going back and denying this creep, right?
Yeah.
And if he starts posturing forward and I still have time to go forward and then get the deny, I'm going to do it again. I'll do the exact same move again. You'll see really good players do this shit. This is like, yeah, you like force to swashbuckle, but like, it's just less committal by you and overall just more efficient to do what I'm saying continuously. Like, you want to keep posturing when you know he has to go for a CS. The way I establish that is literally whose creep is going to die first, mine or his. And in that case, I can rewind if you want me to, but you had a creep that was going to die before his was. So you know that he's the one obligated to be there. Does that make sense? Like, he's the one that has something he needs to do.
Okay.
He has to be within range of that creep. You see what I'm saying? Like, he needs to be there.
Yeah.
So if you know that that's going to happen, you can walk at him and force him into this really weird spot. The perfect play is to walk at him and show up at the very last moment to get the deny. But even just learning to do that walk at him in the first place is really good. It applies a lot on Slark, Lifestealer, any heroes with trading passives. Ursa applies on all those heroes. Any heroes that they wouldn't want to trade with. And Slark is actually a really good trader against a solo offlaner with Essence Shift. But now that he's like level 2, the thing about Slark is his trades don't get any better when he hits level 2, right? Mm-hmm. His trading is no better at level 2 than it is at level 1. So that's why it's super important that you establish that dominance at level 1 rather than level 2, and if that's the way you can win the lane. There's not every lane that you can afford to trade like that, but I think you agree you could have, right? So, you establish that early dominance, you have 3 denies. I think you could easily have like 5 or 6. And then suddenly, he's not level 3 before you, and this lane looks way different. Just way different. Denies are just so broken right now. That's just how it is. And like maybe in a few patches, if they change it, it'll be different. But right now,
It's not. So, like, all these denies you're missing, it's just because of that. Like, honestly, it snowballs because now he's level 4. It's really hard for you to control this lane at all. He's dominant now. Like, he's going to have the lead because Shield Crash will do so much damage to you on trades, and he obviously gets the damage reduction from it. So you're basically not able to bully him anymore. You also have 1,100 gold in your inventory. I think that this is a spot where right here I would have an Aquila flowing to me right now. At the very latest. I probably would have gone treads first. But if you have this gold and the couriers at base, Aquila flying right now. You see that?
Okay.
Like I talked about in my last session, the only reason you don't get Aquila is because courier usage. So if you have this much gold spent up, the couriers at base, you get an Aquila. May seem like a small thing. You're sitting on 1,100 net worth of poor trading here. Meaning, like, you know, all this little stuff makes you trade better. So now you're at a level disadvantage, and you're at a significant net worth disadvantage as well. So now he pulls, and this snowballs for sure. This is all the early lane. I know that seems like such a small thing to harp on, but watch my Slark games and you'll see it. I didn't do this properly 5 months ago. Okay, I didn't do this properly 5 months ago. This is something very recent for me as well. So, learning to recognize when you can just fucking walk at the guy. And that's best studied by watching other players do it and being like, why did they walk at that guy? It always has to do with creeps. It always has to do with it. Always. Okay? I can assure you. It's almost always like they're obligated to go CS something, and if they try to attack me right now, they're going to miss a creep. Like, it's actually like you're forcing them to choose between you and a creep, and that's like the goal, right? If you do that enough times, they're either going to go for the creep, and you hit them, or they're going to miss the creep.
Yeah.
Both of which are good. And if you force these interactions enough, it'll give you a slight advantage in lane, such that you're level 5 right now, and he's level 4. And then suddenly, this whole lane looks different, right? It does. It just does. You hit level 6 before he does, whole dynamic of the lane has changed. And it's something that I lost a few pro matches with VGJ because I played this shit wrong. So, like, my laning timings were just bad compared to what they should be. And if you just know the concept that I'm bringing to your attention, you'll gradually start to notice things. You'll catch yourself not doing it when you should have, and then you'll start doing it more and more often. But it's not something that instantly gets fixed. And now suddenly this offlaner who was against you guys, like, that could have been shut down at least better than this, suddenly is higher level than you, and they're safe lane 1.
Yeah.
The problem with these type of games is if you lose your safe lane like this, they won their safe lane, now it's just so bad, right? You guys actually lost this game because of this, and it's so sad, right? Like, it's actually so depressing. I've lost games like this too. The only time where it doesn't lose you the game is where your other lane somehow won. Like, you know what I mean? You guys dedicated 2 heroes and lost to 1, and then your other heroes somehow won. Like,
yeah.
That's not something you can rely on, right? The rest of your team
rare.
is playing 3v4. So, if they happen to win even one of those lanes significantly, that's just luck. So that's why it's so important that we establish this control. And why I also always prioritize denies, because if I get ahead in levels, I will pull ahead more and more in levels, just like this Pango is on you. Like, he got a little bit of a level advantage at level 4, and suddenly at this level he's a level and a half ahead of you at level 6 or whatever. So it just adds up, it builds up real quick. Like, because he has that slight level advantage on you, he's able to control the lane, and because he's controlling the lane, he's able to pull the big camp and make you miss, like, 2 extra creeps than you should. It just snowballs so much, like, to let them get that slight advantage. I guess he's not actually ahead of you in levels now, but even then, it's like, this is not good. Okay, so this does not feel good. He's still ahead of you in levels, okay. It feels bad, man.
Definitely.
So definitely check that out. So, it seems depressing when you think about it. But I used Anti-Mage as an example in this context, and Slark is another example. Simply put, Anti-Mage and Slark, do they get any stronger trading at level 2 than they do at level 1?
No.
So if you miss an opportunity that is there, groundbreaking on those heroes. It actually just shits on them. Okay, like, I can tell you, I've learned it now on any hero that's like this. On a hero like DK, does he trade better level 1 or 2?
Probably 2.
Is it, like,
Dragon's
significantly better?
Probably. I don't know.
Yes.
He had a lot of armor.
Yeah, it is, right? He either at level 1 is missing armor, or he's missing damage reduction and a nuke, right? But the minute he hits level 2, he's way better at trading than he is at level 1. So, like, on DK, if I feel like I can... If I feel like... Okay, let's see. Let's just use DK as an example. What skill am I leveling level 1? Why? Any reasoning you can give me on which one you'd level 1?
I think people normally get the Dragon Breath, right?
I'd honestly say I think it's pretty evenly split, and I'm asking you what you think could decide this.
I don't know, honestly.
It's like if I think I can CS fine and like walk into lane with like I can go for the range creep without using Dragon's Breath and just walking up, then I'm gonna take Dragon's Blood and just walk up and kill the range creep. But if I feel like even with level 1 armor, they can like stun me or like harass me down, I'm going to take Dragon's Breath, and then sit back and Dragon's Breath the range creep and all that kind of shit, right?
Yeah.
But for the first creep wave, either way I'm playing it, I'm doing like a creep aggro passive thing, because I have no desire to trade at level 1 on DK, right? I just have no desire. Why? Why would I? But the minute I hit level 2, suddenly, like, if the guy tries to right-click me, or I'm going to posture or right-click the guy, and if he right-clicks me back, I'm just going to dual breath, or whatever it is, breathe fire, and he's going to do no damage. Like, and then I'm going to hit him. So it's like... Every hero, it matters. It's like, on Timber, minute I hit level... I'm probably going to play a little passive, but the minute I hit level 3, I'm purposely tanking creeps and hitting the guy. Like, this is what I'm going to do. Point is, though, every hero has it a bit different with every level. And so if you miss these rare opportunities on these heroes to establish dominance at level 1 when they're actually a lot stronger, it loses you lanes. It really does. And it's sad, but it's reality. And so you just need to think very closely... and specifically, like very distinctly, very, very methodically, I think is probably the best word, methodically, about exactly when a hero can capitalize on trading. And it's like, when am I not going to level Essence Shift on Slark at level 1?
If you're like killing them at the room?
Yeah, that, or I just can't trade anyway.
Okay, if it's like a dual lane?
Yeah, it's like a Sand King Techie's lane. I'm not fucking trading with shit there. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just play passively the entire time anyway. But in a dual lane, if I'm playing passively and getting CS, is that all that bad? Why or why not?
If you're in a dual lane with the support versus like a solo offlane?
No, versus their dual lane too.
And you're just farming?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's fine, right? Because they're not splitting XP. Or they are splitting XP, sorry. But, like, if you're a 2 versus 1 and you miss this opportunity to trade favorably, that guy's just getting solo XP to your split XP. You know what I mean? Like, and then suddenly he gets level 4, you're level 3, and the game's just ugly. And it's like, it's pretty insane. But with the way denies work now, the lane just snowballs so quickly. And you can actually lose the lane at level 1. And that's why I emphasize that one tip and trick thing about the creep deny at the start. Because if you establish control from minute 1, it almost every lane I've been in, win or lose, is decided in like the first 2 minutes. It's depressing, but it's how it is. And so understanding exact timings, like if they change denies, is this point that I'm making to you still relevant? If they make denies like 75% XP again or whatever, is this still relevant?
It's probably still a little bit.
Yeah, just not as much. Right?
Yeah.
But, like, if you don't do this properly now, you're going to get punished a lot harder than you do if the denies are not worth as much. So that's just how it... Like, what people used to do was, when denies were 70%, do you remember what the meta was?
Not really, no.
Slarks, Spectres...
oh, yeah.
Why were those heroes good?
I mean, they would lose lanes not as hard. It wouldn't be as punishing.
Yeah, they would just lose the lane, but they're going to get levels. And then come back. Like, you literally just throw them to the wolves, let them get levels, and they'll come back. So, that was the meta. So, but like now, since denies are so good, you need to establish that control right away, right? My point is, like, you can... All of this stuff matters varyingly with patches. I want you to make sure you understand that every patch, and what I've realized, is that it just exposes your weaknesses if it's something you're not good at. It just exposes you. So this is a game that becomes really fucking hard. You're against Bloodseeker. You don't have an early Shadow Blade. This game's entirely a disaster because of that. I hate to say it. That first 2 minutes, entire game's a disaster. I know that sounds so harsh, but can you point out anything else that went wrong here?
In my own game?
Yeah, in this game right here.
For me or my team?
For you.
Or not too much now?
No!
Not yet. Still been applying pressure. But
I don't think you're strong enough to take their tier 1, right? At any point, they can just kill you with their heroes. You weren't strong enough to trade in lane versus Pango.
Nope.
If Luna comes to your tower, she's level 9, you're level 6 or 7, you can't defend.
Yeah.
What else were you supposed to do? Literally the only proper play was to have a better start.
Uh-huh.
And it was possible, right? It was.
Yeah.
And it's harsh. Sure. But there are games like this. It's just reality. There are games like this. And the way I look at lanes and people say, BSJ, what kind of start should I expect to have? There's games like this where you should have had a better start. And that's purely based on the matchup and the heroes you have and the way you played it. But there's other games where the amount of farm and stuff you got here would be adequate. Like, that would be the correct number of farm, like you're against an aggro dual lane. But in that case, the enemy had to expend more resources to shut you down, so maybe their Luna had a worse game. BSJ, what if I get tri-lane and their Luna has free farm? I'm sorry, dude. Your team probably just sucks, okay? Like, sorry to hear it. Like, that's why I abandoned my game yesterday, because we aggro tri-lane and lost all 3 lanes. And I'm like, well, I'm abandoning. See you guys later. Like, can't win this game. 7 minutes in, we were down like 4k gold to, like, never get any better. So I'm just like, it's one of those things where I'm not saying to abandon. I'm just saying, like, in that case, legitimately nothing you can do about it. And that's important to understand that. But in this game, I look at this, and fact is, lost the lane in the first 3 creep waves, and that's hard. That's a tough thing to grasp in a coaching session. And what I mean by that is, I'm not trying to scapegoat it. I literally looked at your game, and it's like, I don't really see anything for you to do. So all your moves were, like, reasonable. Like, you're just trying to hit creeps, you're getting a Shadow Blade, and the problem is the Luna's going to be so farmed by the time you have Shadow Blade that she's just going to out-farm you and you won't be able to solo kill her. Does that sound about accurate about what happens from here?
That's what happened. Literally, the first time I ever went on her, when they were in our base, right? They're, like, hitting Ancient, and I hit her, and she lives with, like, 10 HP.
Yeah. And that's just these little timings things, man, and that's all it is. And so as a safe laner, at your bracket, it starts to come down to where you do need to understand equilibrium as well as creep aggro. Those things are super important. But you're also at the bracket where you're good enough to... These little microaggressions are super important. And they are always based on the creeps. Always. Like, think to yourself, if you played against a good player and every time you wanted to go for a CS, they made an aggressive move on you. Like, every time you wanted a CS. Yeah. How annoying would that be? Right? Like, how annoying. People are thinking... Like, the way they think in my bracket, I can instantly tell if somebody's a good laner. Because every time I want to go for a CS, they're doing something about it. And so, you need to start thinking, putting yourself in the mind of the opponent and being like, oh, I couldn't trade with the Slark level 1 if he has Essence Shift. And if he walks past the creep wave, what's my decision? Right? Man up and miss a creep, or walk away and miss the creep. Okay. Or go for the creep and eat 4 auto attacks from an Essence Shift Slark. You know? Yeah. Do that 3 times. Lane's over. You know? Like, the lane's over if he chooses that route. And so, these are the type of little micro advantages why if I'm laning against like a Rake 600, I'll just be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And I'll just win. Because I'm doing it better than he is. And so, obviously every game it matters varyingly. Okay? If you're in a very straightforward game like that Slark vs Centaur where you're getting 2 really good supports, they're completely zoning the guy for you, this weakness is never going to present itself. Yeah. I was the exact same way. I'm going to tell you right now, to wrap up this session, I thought to myself for the longest time, and I'm going to tell you, if you're thinking this, it is a minor version of delusional, okay? I thought for the longest time that when I got contested, it was always my supports somehow being inferior to the other supports of why I was having trouble in these like dual lanes, or like if my support wasn't zoning him, it was his fault. Like in this spot, if I was you, I would have said, God, couldn't my Rubik have just done a better job of zoning this Pangolier so I could have won my lane? It's like a minor version of delusional. Like, you just like, you don't really realize it, but you're like, why is it like that if I have a free farm game, I'm going to own. But, like, it's on you to establish this dominance in the lane, right? And so I've realized, like, that was a while ago. That was, like, maybe 2 years ago for me, maybe 3. It is you. It really is. Like, the lane equilibrium, the aggressions, all these times I point out in my coaching sessions, people going for kills when it's bad, people not going for harass when they should, all of these little things, like, if you get those 3 early denies, suddenly the next 3 creep waves, you're going to get an extra 3 or 4 denies, and then suddenly you're level 5, he's level 3.5, and the lane's over. In terms of your favor. You're going to get like an 11-minute Shadow Blade. This Luna's going to be farming a creep with Mask of Madness and like not a Dragonlance complete just yet, and you're going to kill her. Right? Like, that's what happens exactly. Like, here, you know what? Before we end it, okay? They're going to watch this laning stage together, and you're going to see what I mean. And we're going to call it, okay? So, I always try not to suck my own dick, but I like to appreciate when I do something that I didn't used to do correctly.
Alright.
So we'll see if I can point out an exact scenario of me doing it. We'll see when it happens, and I'll show you it.
Nice try.
Okay, I actually want to point this out. Where is it? This is like a very minor example. Right here, even this is a big deal.
Yeah.
You see this, right? Like, even this little movement is...
expect you to walk all the way to him.
Yeah. Even this. Like, look at what he does because I do that, right? That's a huge deal. It seems so small, but suddenly my Disruptor gets free harass, and I'm going to get a deny if I want it. Like, those little aggressions, they add up so much. Like, look how much damage he took for that last hit. Like, it adds up with your support helping you, right? Usually you can't do this alone. Look around posturing, and then I return to the creeps as soon as I possibly can, right? Or, like, as late as I possibly can, sorry. Like, this is a very similar lane, is it not? Like, a relatively weak harass support against a decent melee offlaner, right? It's the same concept, but you had 3 denies, I have 10. Like,
yeah. And
suddenly I'm almost level 3, he's barely level 2, and, I mean, this is going to snowball quick. Like, it's going to get out of control for this guy real fast. And just... okay, so here it is. So, I think that the control of this lane was established in the first 3 creep waves, right? And then suddenly you can continue this forever. And notice how I'm always prioritizing denies, lane slightly pushing into me, guy dies. Lane's fucking over. Lane's over! Like, if I'm saying in your game, isn't it the opposite, right? Like, meaning the lane was actually over for you. If the offlaner gets level 4 and you're level 3, I feel like unless you're like Nakes versus Bat, or like Ursa versus a melee hero, you're fucked. Like
it's only gonna get worse.
It's only gonna get worse. And so most matchups in a reasonable game of Dota 2 are going to be possible to go one way or the other. Like, and so if one hero gets that slight advantage, like, I've played Slark against Magnus before and been absolutely obliterated. Like, I have been obliterated, and I am certain it's because I did the little things I just showed you wrong. It was a while ago. I can't pull up the game. I don't remember it specifically. But I know for a fact that these little microaggressions that I learned a lot of it from 747 when I was on VGJ. A lot, like, he mentioned it to me, and then I had to go, like, study it and everything, because he basically what happened was, here's how it works. I laned against him mid in some 1v1s, and he completely shit on me. And it was all because of this. It was all this. Like, he literally just took favorable trades on every CS, and, like, I was like, Jesus, I just got dumpstered. And I'm like, ugh. I still do it poorly in the mid lane, because the mid lane's very different, like, utilizing the high ground, and every hero's kind of different, too. But when it comes to my carries that I'm good at, I've now honed this, and you just shit on people. Like, you actually just shit on them with these little things. And so, it's weird that it came up. It's not something I've really coached before for you. But watch these type of games for these heroes, like, that just have favorable trading mechanisms, or when they're ahead. Meaning, like, if they're level 4 and the other guy's level 3 and they have an Aquila or something, watch them make these little micro plays that they're leaving the guy with the decision. Walk through me and eat 3 auto attacks, or miss the creep. That's the 2 choices that guy had, right? That mag, especially in your case with the Rubik, notice how in this case, what I did was, I made that mag take way longer to get that CS, right? Way longer. And during that time, Disruptor hit him 4 times. Like, it adds up. it sets the tone. And if you do that from the very get-go in every circumstance, it just lane's over. Like at 3 minutes. In your case, and it's sad because this looks like a very comparable game, actually. Like I'm against a Luna, and all that happens is I get my 11-minute Shadow Blade, or maybe even earlier than that. Yeah, I get a 10-minute Shadow Blade. That's the difference. That's the only difference in our games. You know what I mean? As sad as it is, that's the only difference. And so in these type of games, Slark and Luna is actually like a perfect matchup example. It's simply just an arms race. Like it is actually just a race because if you don't come online soon enough to slow her farm down, she's gonna out farm you like crazy. But if you get the Shadow Blade before she's done farming, her game's over. Like she can't play the game of Dota 2 anymore because she needs to farm. And what does she do? Like she can't group up because you can still Shadow Blade and kill her that way. Or she can't farm unless she's got a whole team behind her. And suddenly the game's just over. And so Slark specifically is like this. Obviously the concept applies to other heroes, but Slark specifically is a hero I've realized that you have to establish this map control. And sometimes you'll die for it. In pubs you can usually play it perfectly, but like obviously in that Miracle game, like in a pro match, he's not going to never die usually. He's usually going to have some deaths. But it was a perfect example where, like, in that Morphling game Miracle played, they had no way to deal with Morphling once he can't be stunned. And all he did was run around the map farming in aggressive positions, and if anybody contests him, he just kills them. It's like, get off my side of the map. We're going to kill you. And it's like, Miracle's, like, that game actually looked a little bit hard to win, and he was 20-0-7 or some shit. Like, when I say a little bit hard, it wasn't, like, just over. But, like, the enemy team couldn't deal with him. And this is what you need to do as Slark. Morphling does it by being unkillable, like, in your face. Like, you can actually just see him and you can't kill him. Slark does it by literally forcing you to group up, and even if you group up, he just won't go on you because he has vision advantage even at nighttime. Like, he just won't go on you. Like, if you're grouped, he won't go on you. If you separate, you kill them. Like, that's how Slark is. So the key is the timing from the second game is really important. Definitely focus on the microaggressions. I don't actually have any videos on it. You can definitely watch other players look for it. You seem like you're knowledgeable enough, and obviously you're 4.5K, so you're a high enough skill bracket, I think, for you to start practicing this. And then also from the first game, just really, like I said, these calculated decisions. Slark is the best hero for it, in my opinion. And what will happen is, if you can get it down on Slark, it's easiest on Slark. When I say easiest, I mean you have a lot of wiggle room. So if you mess up, rather than dying every time, you'll maybe just waste a bit of time, or you'll have to expend an ultimate when you shouldn't have had to. That kind of stuff. But on other heroes, if you do it on like Luna, you like overstep your boundaries, you're just gonna die. So Slark's really good for that. I know I kind of rambled on, kind of went on a lot of random tangents, like. They weren't random, but they were a lot of tangents. Are there any questions you have before we wrap it up? I've kind of been talking on my ass.
I would say the question that it kind of happened in that Slark game.
Yeah.
Like in the first one,
okay.
Where if I'm Radiant and I'm pressuring their safe lanes tier 2.
Okay.
I'm like, say I'm pressuring up there and I bring people top, and I'm too scared to walk my way down to like the offlane shrine and farm those camps.
Yeah.
I often just like TP to that shrine.
Okay.
And I wonder if that's a really bad TP or not.
So here's how I want you to think about TPs. Why are TPs important?
They allow you to like respond to stuff.
Okay. So they allow you to favorably respond to stuff, right? Meaning, like, you can force a situation you want, and you can choose exactly when you want to respond to it. So TPs like that, in my opinion, I like making them if I don't feel safe, and I am very certain, or at least relatively certain, that I will not be needing to respond to anything the enemy team's doing in the next 80 seconds.
Okay.
It's that simple. Like, I've made that TP before on, like, Lunas and especially these heroes.
Heroes that you feel really scared with.
Yeah, and I'll make that TP. And it's like, I forced them top, so that's why I'm scared. I don't know where they are. So I did it yesterday on Terrorblade. I literally like TP'd from here to here. And I know that if they're here, I'll die. Like if I walk back and they're ganking me, I'll die. In that case, I'll just TP here and wait for them to show me what they're doing while I'm farming here. And that's because you force them top, and you know that, basically. Based on what you see on the rest of the map, you know you forced them top, and you don't know where they are in terms of top. So, like you said, you're scared. Just the emphasis is you always... Like, TPs are bad when you're going to be forced to respond to them soon. So, like, when you're Slark in this kind of game, as weird as it sounds, TPing ever to, like, your side of the map or anything like that is pretty much always bad because your response... Like, if you were gonna later have to respond to them, like, we'll just fast forward. I'm actually curious. I don't think I ever TP'd to my own side of the map, and if I do, we'll see an exception. Okay, so I did TP mid there. Now, it seemed a little bit forced, actually. Why did I TP bottom here? Let's see what I see. Why did I TP bottom? Maybe it's even wrong. So I see Luna top, and I see a fight going mid. Oh yeah, I wanted to loop on the fight. No, this is correct. I saw Luna top, and I wanted to fight mid because my team was pushing. So that's the only time I've TP'd to my side of the map so far. I end up barely getting away. I mean, that's just mechanics on Slark, but... Okay, end up taking a good fight here. Okay, wait, so let's see. Do I ever TP to my side of the map?
You're playing a lot of mid and like their off lane rather than their safe
Yeah,
lane.
so how do I'm trying to think of how I word this. Okay. So based on the objectives on the map, what's actually the highest priority, especially with our ward vision?
Like mid tier 2, maybe?
Sorry.
Oh, mid tier 1.
Yeah, you just couldn't see it because of the hero. So the reason why I'm playing where I'm playing is because mid tier 1's my objective. What should they need to stop me from taking mid tier 1? Also, I have Enigma pushing top, by the way, a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
shouldn't they need all their heroes to stop me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so if they need all of their heroes, what's the best way to drag somebody away from top?
Just distracting them in another lane, forcing them.
Yeah,
to
so basically this is a whole thing where the second Luna would ever come mid, I would go top. But she never went mid. Does this make sense? Like, I see Luna top, it's like a weird exception. And I'm like, Enigma can push the lane, but my best case here is in this case, I guess Shaman. Rather than directly pressuring top, I think it's best done by indirectly pressuring mid, and if they overreact, I'll go pressure top, and then I'll go back to mid. I'm kind of in a tug-of-war between mid and top right now, meaning, like, I'm gonna yank them around, because these are my two objectives.
Okay.
So if they're overcommitting mid, I'll go top. If they're overcommitting top, and by overcommitting top, I literally mean one hero, because of the fact that all my team's mid. You see this? How, like, their resources are separated.
Yeah.
And, like, the only reason they're allowed to be top, or the only reason... Okay, for them to be allowed to be top, they're losing mid. Like, I'll let them have that lane for this. But if Luna were to come, I would leave. Like, I would go top, but the guy never came. So,
Okay.
I'll take that tower, I'll punish him for that, and then I'll return to, like... I'm basically saying, team, I saw Luna go bottom, so look at, like, I'm going to wait for her to separate because I have ward vision on this. So I'm going to watch them, I'm waiting. I see the Shaman mid, I see her walk this way. Like, this is a calculated kill that I'm predicting the Luna's movement. This was a case where I ran top and then I'm like, oh, she's going to run. And I go back bottom. So, like, notice how, though, I have not TP'd to my side of the map a single time. And it sounds
And
really... Go ahead.
You're playing their side, like 90% at least.
Yeah, so this is
this
is a very interesting game, and this is why it's important to understand exceptions. What's the point of this lane?
To apply pressure,
Okay.
force people to react.
Okay, so this is an exception for sure, but I know I'm doing the right thing, but I'm trying to explain how to recognize these scenarios. This is very like not. I'm not shitting. I'm not sucking my own dick again, but this is very advanced. So basically, if I have these wards that I have, and I play this area, and they never get this tower, where do they farm?
Only in that top jungle.
They farm here. That's it.
Yeah.
And as weird as it sounds in
small.
this example, because of these awards and them not having this tower, where do they have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So
I see.
and are they ever taking this tower? Like based
Probably
on the
not.
concepts we've talked about, are they ever taking this tower? What's the only way that a team can take this tower? If they group up and go. Can they ever
Okay,
group
that's
up
fine.
and go?
No, if you're playing
No,
well, they never can.
They never can, right? I'm actually making it so they're not taking this tower because we're controlling this area, and the only area they can farm is this. So this is a rare exception because usually you've lost this tower, or like heroes like Slark are the best at doing this, right? Like he's just so elusive. Like how do they ever pick me off if I see them like this? Like
Yeah.
they just
it's
never pick
impossible.
me off. They literally can't kill me. They literally cannot kill me if I play right. If I play right. So now that I've slaughtered them into oblivion, meaning they have all died, I am now going top to resume what I was doing. And now this is called the collapsing of the map move. Top's pushed in. Look at their ward vision. I get a gem.
Dyer's middle tower is
Where do they farm now? Is anybody on their team going to go bottom at this point? No. Like, because of what I've done, right? They can't go bottom anymore.
Yeah.
I have talked about this in my coaching session. Oh, this guy goes bottom? Lol. Fuck that guy. He's dead. Like, okay. Like they have no choice. Where do they go?
Yeah.
Like, this is something where you learn this stuff. It's like there are exceptions. It's really hard to explain them. You have to, like, it becomes a recognition of ways of shutting them down. So I see this. Ward vision is going to be gone. I know they have a ward up here, so I take the time to de-ward it. So now they can't control bottom anymore. Where do you think I go now?
Top.
Yeah. They only can be one place.
someone better.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, this is a really good example.
Like, you see this, right? Like, their map is gone. They have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And it seems so, like, BSJ, God, you're just finding all these good kill opportunities. Like, nobody really, like, I for the longest time, would see players do this, and it looks so simple if you ask yourself in hindsight. Like, if you ask yourself to analyze it. And I thought I was learning a lot when I asked myself to analyze it in hindsight. It's not something you can analyze in hindsight. It's actually something like, I saw this mapped out. Like, it's literally a move. You literally do this that I did on this example, right? And it can be done up here too, where you do, like, it can be done the opposite way in certain games. I literally did this, controlled this entire side, killed them, then I pushed this in, and then I collapsed on this side. But it can be done where you're pressuring this side, anyone that comes here dies, you take this tier 2, you push in this lane like once, and then you collapse here. Where do they go? Like, if you took this tier 2, this lane's at their tier 2, and your entire team collapses here, where do they go?
Into the... Like, they could try the shrine, the offlane shrine.
Maybe.
Area?
Maybe. That's where they got, right? That's what they got left?
Yeah.
That's what they got left. Okay.
3 camps.
Have it. You know, like, whatever. Like, the reason why I can easily kill this Luna here is where else is she? Because of this, like, because of this control, this move in, and then
Yeah.
moving back to this area, where else is she? There's nowhere else she can possibly be. And this is like, it's like corralling them, and that's why I was saying, like, as Slark, you know, that's why it's super important, and like, if they don't know where I am, they have to play like I'm there all the time. And so, for you personally, it's just like, the first game, it was a matter of capitalizing on that map advantage and making these calculated decisions properly. How many times was I inconvenienced when they were separated? Like, did I go out of my way to do something when they were separated? Like, did you notice how many times in your game you went for, like, random kills that kind of just forced you to back off? That's the kind of stuff you can't afford to happen, right? It slows down this entire thing. Like, if they're 3-manning on one side of the map, let them, you know? Like, let them have it. And it's like, in this game, like, I saw 4 people here, but then because we had wards, I was willing to play there, and I saw 3 of them walk this way, and Luna walk this way. Just dies, right? Like, you punish them the second they prove to you that they're exposed. And so, overall, like, I think I cut a little bit close on some of these examples, like, on some of these decisions, but this is a game that I would not have won last year. I would not have won this game. 100% would not have won this game. So, I've realized against Mag, these type of heroes, all they want to do is farm. I think Slark is really good against Mag if you can win your lane, because all they want to do is farm, and you just shut them down, and you can obviously get rid of the ultimate as well. So, okay, man, I do have to go. I've gone a little bit over time, or a lot over time.
All right.
So, thanks for signing up, dude. I hope this was a good session.
That was great.
Yeah. So, thanks for that, and I'll see you later, man.
Yep,
Good luck.
Thank you.
Peace. Okay. So some people have been asking me. I've literally had 3 people ask me today. I didn't get the chance